Once there were men from this land called the Goldens, but they were broken down into tribes. The Amur tribe, the mighty slayers, the Ford tribe, and lastly the looked down upon, the lost. They began to battle these men, the Goldens striking them and killing them viciously, shouting harsh and violent language at them until they slaughtered most of them. In reward the Goldens took their stock of animals and grain. Sailing back with victory, the Goldens are happy and proud, boasting of their wins, except one man. And that man is Aaron the wise, son of Andre the philosopher, strategic warrior, and high wisdom of all things, so they think. Along the way, he sees this girl named Abby. Abby is one of a kind, beautiful, and highly intelligent. Her and Aaron haven't seen each other in weeks since he had been on the raiding tour, so they laugh and talk until the conversation becomes uneasy when Ebony is mentioned. She says you should consider separating from Ebony. He asks why do you say? She responds, she has been seeing someone across from the tribe of Amur, in fear to admit it, she says, and I have seen her. He responds, well, in life we must face such things, we cannot control a person that has free will. What man must I be to leave a woman that makes my supper as I sail north from light to dark? For it is foolish, but I will confront her, but for all I care, she can remain with him as long as she attends to her duties. She tells him, you deserve better, rubs his shoulder, and walks away as he stands there dumbfounded. Angry, he is walking through the tribe of the lost, and he walks into his hut where Ebony is preparing a pig for them to eat. He says I hear of disappointing things happening as I've been on the raid, but she seductively gets him to calm down from his angry state of mind even though when he angry you cannot tell but she can. Once he settled down she admitted to what she had done, admitting it was only one night blaming Aaron because he have been on raids for long periods and then apologizing while crying, and then pleasing him with a selfless act, and he accepts it. The next morning, Aaron sits down alone until his friend that's like his brother joins him named Ethan. They greet each other with love and began to talk. Aaron says, how are you? And Ethan replied he was disappointed he missed the raid, but Aaron informed him he left him something from the little he did get, and in return, Ethan showed him love and let him know how he is the only one to make sure everyone eats, and asked him why does he do it. Aaron tells him, the selfish man in the end realized everything he did was an action of greed filling his belly to the point that not even his intestines could empty, so in the end, he realized his cause of death. But Ethan sits there confused. Aaron sits down with his men and Abby. He becomes annoyed by the sound of Ethan's uneducated, unwise speaking, as he taunts the people around him for not being strong enough to raid. Aaron's best friend Caleb says, I wish I could raid, but they'll never pick me. Abby followed after Caleb, saying, they look at us women as only maids in the lost. Ethan laughs as he yells, Caleb, you're not a real man and meant to do the things a servant will do, and he turns, getting into Abby's face, and you will never raid because you are fragile and a weak woman. Aaron gets fed up, rising from his seat, and punches Ethan to the ground. They began to wrestle, with Aaron getting the best of Ethan. Aaron wins, standing strong, but then hugs him, assuring him of their brotherhood. Aaron tells Ethan, brother, you are strong, but to become great, you have to think further than strength. Abby sits down, smiling at Aaron after he defends her honor. But Caleb speaks before her mind began to wander, so Aaron, how was North? Aaron says, it felt like a cage with madmen stuck being frozen, a land of survival where love doesn't matter but war is more important, for not one of us was killed, but if any more of their men were there, we would have been set an example. Abby says, I have only heard of the tales told from the warriors, of course, in a simpler form than your overcomplicated examples. Aaron responds, well, it is the only way I can tell it as clearly as I can. I never cared too much for simplicity, not even in love. I always take difficulty over ease. Caleb asks, what about as a young? Aaron looks at him and says, it was never a simple step but always a stumble during the walk, no matter how much I wanted it. He even becomes disturbed talking, for you all have seen my mother and then never again, you all have seen my father, but where has he been? So that's my life since young. Aaron the wise that night sat until sunset on the landmark of the lost that was the most beautiful of all their land, and he thought to himself, he remember as a child he would wish his tribe was like the Amur tribe or even the Fort tribe that at least have third bids on supper, but he accepts the fact that they are the lost where they are frowned upon and slaughtered, where the thief have not a chance of forgiveness. He hates his land and everything it stands for. Why are they punished? He asks himself, Why are they the outcast of the tribes? Women and children enslaved when they even do something such as disobey or fail to pay a debt. He hates it and wants to cause wrath upon everything in the land of Golden, but he realizes he is only man, and they are plenty. After overwhelming thoughts, Aaron decided to go and sit in front of his hut to catch a breather, thinking of relaxing, but was interrupted by footsteps. He saw a face he hadn't seen in months, the great philosopher, at least he once was, Andre the Wise. He yelled, "Father!" Embarrassed by even his stance, troubled, he brings him inside to lay him down on the floor. Aaron was mad just looking at him, the poor excuse of a man, once a man of honor to a man drunk of wine. Waking up, he orders Aaron to grab him something to drink. Angered but still out of respect, Aaron does it. Andre tries to have a conversation asking how war have been. Aaron, in disbelief of him acting like they have been around each other for so long, he responds anyways, saying, "Blood warming me, temperatures I never thought of, and sore hands and swelling feet, but like a warrior is taught, without pain." But before he can say the rest, Andre interrupts. There is no win. Aaron, tired of pretending, says, "Father, I haven't seen you in many sunrises, and you ask me of warfare. Isn't war senseless, father?" Andre looks at him. "No, son, it is necessary for our life to do so to survive." But out of anger, Aaron yells, "But you didn't. You were a philosopher and traveler who fought 2 seasons, and then, when my mother was taken, you let them." Andre responded calmly, "Son, a slave has no control over his master but is able to collect as many crops as he can. Neither the smart can beat an automatic ridden system. Neither the strong can overpower a wise king, but only a man become wiser and stronger to maintain." Aaron cries, "Father, I can never forgive you." But Andre tells him, "But son, one has, the one who given his only begotten son, the one who forgives and loves." Aaron asks him, "Who do you speak of?" But Andre refuses to answer, kissing him on his forehead and walking away. Aaron stands in hate, but his heart can't refuse the yearning he has to be close to his father. Standing in the midst of an angry crowd, Aaron stands listening to their complaints, but Aaron and the lost tribe stand undisturbed, unbothered about being put last. Judge George Lewis, the greediest man of all Golden, taking half of everything with the judge of the lost, which is the reason the lost are so poor. Judge David Henry, who represents the tribe of Amur, along with Malik Amani representing the Fort tribe, and lastly Kamal Zain representing the mighty Slayers tribe. Kamal Zain, who is also one of the men who traveled with the King of Golden for raids. Aaron became first disturbed when he heard the men saying bad things about the lost, but most disturbed by the words from Akeem, the general of Amur. Akeem stands with audacity after saying that, but it helps no more when Kwame, another general, says they are animals and yelling for their exile, all while Resta agrees, even calling them slaves, saying they are good for nothing else. Men began to complain, but the judge had finally asked them, "What do you all want?" Akeem stood up and told them, "I want the lost exiled. They only have one good fighter, General Ekad, whom I make decisions with in raids," and the crowd agrees, so Judge Lewis says, "Who wishes to buy them out?" But Aaron couldn't take any more, so he walked toward the front fearlessly, thinking about the well-being of his tribe. Aaron asks George Lewis, "Is that what you wish to do, Judge George Lewis?" George Lewis looks confused, even a bit caught off guard. Looking around, he asks, "Who is this man?" At that moment, Aaron put all his anger aside and stood tall, saying, "I am Aaron the Wise, son of Andre the Philosopher. Some may know him as the Delighted Poet." People began to laugh, saying, "He speaks of the madman, he may be mad himself." Zain, one of the generals, sips his wine and wipes his mouth, and says, "Look, Aaron the Wise, matter of fact, do you even deserve that name?" And he laughs. Aaron laughs and responds, "I don't know, do a bear have strength? Is a lion the king of the jungle? Are the wolves more vicious in their pack? Are the wise normed to seek wisdom? Do birds fly together?" Zain, in disgust of Aaron, he spits on the floor and looks at Aaron and tells him, "You say some poetic words and think you are wise?" Aaron laughs at his stupid words, "No, Zain, but I don't think the wise will sit around listening to problems that are never fixed." "Why, George is a greedy man," Aaron asks, but they remain silent, so he raised his hand and answered for them, "I guess we don't know, but I do know this. Ekad can't be the lost strongest warrior, because I slayed more than him out of our whole army, and along with Kwame and Akeem, and far more than Resta." Akeem yells blasphemy, and the crowd began to shout along with Akeem, but all of a sudden, doors opened, and the crowd made room for an entrance. The king says, I hear a battle, Icad and Aaron fight for a position in power? What do you say? General position in my Elic currency for Aaron if you win, and if you lose, Icad gets George Lewis position. George takes my side and runs politics over the Golden Land, and for you, death without a tombstone. Aaron stood strong and replied, I accept the combat, but I have one more condition. The people looked bewildered, because no one ever added conditions to the king. Some even shouted how dare he disrespect the king. But Aaron reminded them, to me he is only a man, and tells them, I'm willing to die for the very word I speak. He even goes on to speak saying, for who is a man anything above if he can bleed? Is a man stronger than if the wise can outsmart him? Is the man anything above if he eats the same supper as we? Or is the man anything younger if we all received punishment as children? King Elic tells him, I have never been spoken to in that way, you have truly startled me, Aaron the wise, but for that reason, you will fight Icad and 3 men from each tribe, including your own. But Aaron remains unbothered and responds, well, I'm ready for anything that is thrown toward me. I will surely catch it and devour it like a lion does its prey. But I have one more condition, he disgustingly said, King. What? King Elic responded. No remedies whatsoever, Aaron requests. King Elic granted it to him even though he is awestricken that he knows of the remedies because the lost was banished from the secrets. Before King Elic left, he slowly turned his head and tells Aaron, send love to Andre. Aaron looked confused.